What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Huddle, the number one bleh, bleh,
Flooring podcast?
the number one flooring podcast, number one podcast in flooring.
Hey,
We are here every single week to help you guys gain forward progress in your career. Simply put, we're here to help you win. For all our new viewers, welcome to the team. What's up, fellas? Mr. Daniel and Jose Gonzalez. The
Sup?
Gonzalez brothers, as they're often referred to from
the
Grand Rapids,
Gonzos.
Michigans, the Gonzos. What's up,
The
guys?
Gonzos.
I had to run
So,
to my office and grab my phone, so I like sat down right, right when the intro came up. Apologies for that fumbling there.
no, it's all good. I just called ourselves the Gonzos, but our families each have our own nicknames. So my family is the Gonzos, his are the Vales, Crystal's family are the Larrys.
You guys
And
all have
our other sisters,
different
the Chatas.
the chatas. Well, it must be one heck of a family reunion.
Well,
Have you guys
we
It's
had a
all
always
family reunion ever?
like 4 years ago,
Yeah,
longer than that,
nice.
dude.
was
We
it?
we don't dare have one in my family. Like getting all of those r- ridiculous people together in one room. Mm-mm.
I don't know how people do it all the time. It's so hard to coordinate that, and it's
I
hard.
know, nutty. Well, today's topic is real estate and renovations, how flooring impacts property value. We reached out to a bunch of people to, I should say, I say we, um, the boys have reached out. I think Jose to several, and we were unable to get our guests on for the day, but we're gonna make it through it. We understand the flooring industry. We have a lot of relationships in the business, and people who call and upgrade their home right before they sell, that kind of stuff. So we'll bring you some good insights on what is the best flooring to sell when somebody is looking to increase their you know property value before they sell their house or something. Or sometimes, like myself, you just want a low maintenance flooring that you don't have to deal with, and it'll look beautiful for years and years and years. So,
Mr. Carlos, what's up?
what up, Carlos? Um, I want to mention today's sponsors. Today we have Divergent Adhesives. We'll give you a little bit of shout out, but at the end of the day, if you need a great performing adhesive on these tough jobs, Divergent Adhesives is the place to go. Go hang out with the Divergent himself, Sonny. Show him
Yeah.
some love. Show him some huddle love.
Speaking of family reunions, that's actually our cousin right there, Israel, over in Florida.
Oh yeah, beautiful. Nice to meet you, Israel. All right. Well, um, few housekeeping things. If you are catching us on the YouTube, give us a like, subscribe, comment,
Boom.
share, all that good
Boom.
jazz. If you're here live, make sure to comment and give us your take on the topic or whatever topic. You guys know the huddle style. We're just here to have a little bit of fun. Um, chat it up a little bit about the topic. It usually is going to end up in like, one of the zones of our expertise, which is, flooring sales and particularly installation. So, you guys, you guys been in the business for a long time. You do a fair amount of residential still
Yeah.
here and there. What is the Does this topic come up like with your homeowners when you're dealing with them, that like what's going to add the value to my house? Do you guys sell off of this?
So here's what it is. It does come up with our real estate buddies, right? Like they're trying to get a house to market, and there's different levels of acceptance, and there's long term value. There's quick turnaround. band-aid value, um, but it all depends on
Like their
any
goals or
right
what
their
they're
goals
wanting to get out of it.
or the demographic, or sometimes if it's a home where the owner doesn't want to go anywhere, right? They're going to be there the next 10 years. Their value is, I want to say, in the eye of the beholder, but that's not necessarily true when it comes to the appraisal process. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Unless you're staying there, like you said. I mean, then it is truly in the eye of the beholder.
or their needs. So like a home in a subdivision, but the home is already built for handicap accessibility. You know, you,
I was going to ask about aging in place. If that, a couple of years back,
oh
we
yeah,
had Elizabeth Caladrino on, and she had mentioned,
yes,
I don't think it's been a couple of years. It seems like it, but when she was on, she had mentioned, this being an emerging market inside of our industry is the aging in place. Have you guys ran across that much?
um, I have not. I want to say I have, right, but
I
aging
haven't
in
seen
place
it
doesn't
come
really
around here.
coincide with the let's hurry up and get it done as cheap as possible.
Yeah, seems like most of our homes, and I'll just be full disclosure, most of our homes are like, and we only do maybe a handful a year, but they're always there's a designer and an owner, and I am there to make those two things match up and come to actually be able to produce a product they love. And so sometimes I'm reining in the designer, sometimes I'm, you know, releasing the owner to dream bigger, whatever. But so I don't get into like residential replacement hardly ever. It's almost always a new home. But the, with those clients, they particularly, it's more of a status thing of their house than it is resale value. Like one of my clients, there's no way you would ever get him to put a piece of vinyl anywhere in his home, like not a stitch and nothing non-wool, and it's hardwood and tile everywhere. But it was more of a status thing. So, you know, the client that I found the most open to this, to the thought process that I need to put a flooring in that's going to increase the value of my home is the one that's going to stay there for a bit, but knows they're going to sell eventually. And they want something beautiful, and at the same time, they can refinish the hardwood right before they
Right.
leave.
They don't want to pay for a full replacement before they move.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, it's like that. I'm here. I'm going to be here for a few years, but you know, at the end of it, I don't want to have to replace everything or change everything out, and I want it to still be relevant and beautiful then. Um, that I have ran across several times, and that's when I always guide them to hardwood. If stay away from LVPs, stay away from carpet if your intent is to increase the value of your home. Neither one of those. LVP will take it up a little bit from carpet, um, because you can't judge the quality. Your average consumer cannot walk in a carpeted room and judge the quality of the carpet. So there's no way to put a value. You can put $150 a yard wool carpet in your house, and it's not going to increase the value a penny. It'll
Well,
make
I
your
think
life, better or whatever. Your experience with your home better, but not not the actual value.
I was going to say is after doing quite a few like insurance claims and working with the adjusters and the companies, and it, the value is capped, right? Like you, if you redo your kitchen, you're only going to increase your value X amount of dollars and not over X amount of dollars. And they explained it to me in a manner in which you can have a custom kitchen, but just because it's custom to your liking doesn't mean that it's going to be attractive to more people. That's why they have a cap of it's only going to add so much. any aesthetics or
how do trends come into that? Like if you're on trend, does it help? Not to
it
your
help
liking, like you still like it obviously if you're going to put it in your home, but does it
showability.
does it help to stay in trend?
Well, showability, right? So
Yeah.
if the home shows better and is trending, it's going to be more attractive to everyone else who is really eating up what is being pushed on social media or what everybody's saying they like. So therefore, that may have more value, which could help with the bidding war, I guess. But it's still paint is paint. It doesn't matter to me like what color it is. It can be covered up,
Yeah.
and a lot of people change the color of the paint anyway once they purchase a home that isn't
And
to their
that's easy
taste.
to do. That's why we're so impactful in this way, why we're even having this conversation. I mean, painting, you like you said, so many people are going to repaint. Um, but it's simple. It's easy. That's a simple thing to do compared to tearing out a bunch of flooring and preparing a substrate to receive a new flooring. And there's all kinds of complications there if you're moving from a hardwood to an LVP or something, or a tile to an LVP. Like there's a lot of, you know, floor prep involved and
Are
um,
you sure? Because all on Facebook, people just go over it. So it just
well, you got to have a click floor. If you got a click floor, you can go over anything.
Mm-hmm. One hundred
Anything.
percent.
that's what they say.
I will give an example. I went and measured a buddy's house, about 6 months ago in the middle of this past summer, and they have a really good installed hard tile throughout their home, right? The kitchen into the hallway, into the back areas, right, and into the bathrooms, the foyer, and some areas that were carpeted, and then also nice hardwood floors that abut to it in all the bedrooms. And excuse me, he wanted to cover it up with floating floor.
Mm.
And I'm looking at it, I'm measuring it, and I'm like, well, what do you want to do with this? He was like, well, I just want to leave it just in case, we sell the house and we can tear it up. And I said, look, I'm gonna be honest with you. I said, if you just redo some of these spots of this grout, this is really solid, man. Like this is a good install. I said the grout's just a little dirty. Like you can spruce this up. And he was like, well, I just want to bring more value. I said,
You ain't
we
gonna
don't
do
cover
it.
we don't cover gold up with copper. You know what I mean? And that's what you're asking me to do. Is you're asking me to cover up a layer that
Copper coated gold coin.
yeah. And he's just like, and
Got
he
to
looked at me. He
protect
was
it.
like,
It's
oh, I
valuable.
never thought about it like that. Yeah, that's what I said. That was my finisher was, unless you really want to cover it with something else just to protect it so it stays in this condition. And he was like, no, no. And he did. He called me and said, we decided not to move forward. You're right. We're going to fix those couple spots, clean it up a little bit. And that's it. And they might put like rugs in the bedrooms with the wood floor. They were going to put rugs in front of the bed where the children stepped off or where they stepped off or in any of the walkways.
Yeah, there's this if you're trying to move a house fast, you might do that though, right? I mean, that's
Yep.
where I think you were getting earlier is that there's these it really depends on we're talking specifically about adding value, but you can't help then bring other reasons why people may make those decisions. I mean, I've walked into $750,000 houses that are LVP, and it's because LVP's everywhere, and people think it's great, and they run with it. Well, you know, similar you put hardwood in that same house, and you're like 5 times the cost, 10 times the cost, whatever.
Oh man.
Um, and so the buyers are starting. This is just my take, as well as a little bit of insight from some agents. The buyers are starting to get a little smarter. They used to think like we could do the LVP, and they know they're not truly fooling people, but it the buyer of the house didn't really. They knew it was LVP, but they didn't know the delta between the two. And it's like information is like this, and so people get educated pretty quick, and it seems like people are starting to realize that LVP is still a disposable product. Like you can't refinish it. If it gets scratched up or it gets a huge gouge all the way across the floor or something like this, you're replacing it. A solid hardwood, you're not going to be doing that. You're going to refinish it. A expensive carpet gets torn, you're replacing it. Tile, you gotta, especially a good tile, you gotta be a gorilla on that stuff to mess it up. If it's
Hmm.
installed properly, which yes, guys, we're going to be moving into installation about this too. But if it's installed properly, it's hard to beat a damn tile floor, or a
Yeah,
natural stone like travertine. That's what I had in my house before we sold. We had travertine everywhere and hardwood in the bedrooms, and the only carpet we had was on the stairs. Literally, the stairs that led from
Yeah.
the travertine floor to a wood grained
that
porcelain tile in the basement.
that's my house. It was owned before by some guys that owned a hardwood flooring company, and it was hardwood everywhere except for the stairs. There's carpet.
Yeah.
And then my wife asked me the other day, she's like, "Hey, can we replace this carpet?" I said, "I will get to it within the next 3 to 5 years."
Yeah, it's like a mechanic's car is always the worst running.
Dude, yeah.
Yeah,
I said,
I'll tell you, and Jorge could probably speak to this. Hardwood stairs with a runner,
Oh
those
yeah.
are back. The 1800s kind of style, that is fully back. The rods are starting to sell, like they're going up for stair rods, and that whole old kind of design is back, baby, in a big way. I've went through
yeah,
some
why do we
really
veer
nice
from it?
ones that have that.
Why do we veer from it? That's like
I don't know.
the
It's
Friends.
a beautiful look though,
it
man.
is
Yeah.
And
And
it's kind of timeless,
easy.
It's here it is right back. It's like subway tile.
yeah, and I'm over here. I'm seeing a lot of people like asking about hardwood on a daily basis. Hardwood this, hardwood that, refinishing. And then it's like I want hardwood. I'll throw a rug down if I want, but I can get rid of it.
And you can change it so easy.
Yeah.
I mean, repurpose a rug to another area. I know people who, like to your point, Daniel, they put rugs down and then they'll like rotate them, I guess would be the right word. They'll take this one from this room over there and move that one, like, and it gives the house a whole new look just by
Yep.
moving the rugs around. So it's kind of interesting.
Just the value of that, what you just said. So let's talk about what value that added. Recently, this year, as a matter of fact, we went and did a runner. We replaced an existing runner at at this couple's home. They've had it for a very long time, and it was wool down the center of the steps. Just it's a simple one, right? You go up the steps, make a left, go all the way to the top floor. 20 years ago, 20 plus years ago, this guy had the foresight to buy extra carpet in case they ever had to replace that runner. Now we had to do some piecing together and had to do some cutting and some binding, right? But he's like, this lasted 20 years. Why would I change from this wool carpet? And we did. We got it cut, put it back on the steps. And he's like, I expect these to last way past
Another
my
20.
life.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the value right there. That's the long-term value. And it might have been custom, but it was one of those homes where it's, a $2 to $3 million house and everything was custom wood, custom everything in there. And that was what they were doing at the time. And it lasted. Why we ever veered from that, I don't know.
And what Paul was saying earlier too, right? Like about what people want in their house. I'm also seeing people just be like, I seen this exact thing in my friend's house. That's what I want over here. That's
Mhm.
some wool steps that we did, some LVT that we did, right? LVP. It's like I seen this in my friend's house. I want this exact thing. And it's like, I can get you something that looks like it. They're like, nope, this is exactly what I want.
Another thing that on the residential side, and I did do a little bit of thought and homework for the commercial side that I want to bring up. But the last thing, kind of idea surrounding either moving your home fast or uh, getting the most value is, probably the last 10 to 15 years, the open concept building was so huge. It's still big. They're starting to kind of block off some areas now in home design, but uh, having a hardwood throughout, or as opposed to like putting in and using rugs to make spaces, as opposed to having, and I say hardwood, it could be any permanent product. And that's one way you can just easily say valuable for home price or not valuable. Is it a permanent product? Does it take a jackhammer or a demo machine to take it up? Or is it, not a permanent product? A carpet and LVP is not permanent product. Hardwood is a permanent product. It's affixed to your home. Same with tile. But having a consistent product throughout and then using rugs allows new homeowners to not have to make their furniture or their ideas of design fit within your parameters. Um, and this all came about when I was building my house. I had hardwood in the kitchen. It was all open, like the whole house. You walk in the front door, you can see the back door, kind of thing. And the so we had hardwood in the kitchen and in the dining, and then we had hardwood partially right up to the hallway, then carpet down the hallway, and carpet in the front room, and then entryway of tile, and it worked fine for our layout. We also had the hardwood come out past the kitchen bar about 3 or 4 foot, so we could have some bar stools there. Well, when we went to go start planning on selling our home, and we weren't sure we were going to sell it in the next 2 years or next 10 years, but we knew we were going to eventually sell. But that's when we went one product throughout. I mean, we had travertine in the kitchen, living room, dining room, down the hallways, and then you can arrange it however you please. So it just gives some freedom for the new people to see their furniture or their design in the new home. So I thought I'd point that out as well as one of the benefits of kind of like keeping a consistent product throughout and not like, you know, boxing people in, because they have to then imagine their furniture in the way you have your flooring designed, or at least it was the case in my house. And our realtor, said that was one of the smartest things we did, because people can come in and truly imagine the furniture layout however they please.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
that's one of those things too where you walk into a place and you know what's more attractive, or it seems uniform, or you look down or up and you have four different colors of paint, three different types of flooring that all intersect. Right, you're sectioning off the house without putting walls up. That's
Yeah, accent walls and stuff like that are another good example of like, we had a couple and they were, our realtor said, when we did go to sell, they were like, "You just paint them, just paint those the rest of the house. It looks gorgeous, but people are you're gonna, you may lose that one buyer that's willing to make an offer, even because not most buyers don't think like us. They're attorneys, or an accountant or a nurse or something. They go in there like, "Ew, that wall's ugly." If they don't like the color, even though you loved it,
it's a turn off right
it
away.
just turns them off right away. So this vanilla box kind of idea is the best way to get your home sold. You
Right,
know,
and that's why I like that everything is going back to the warm tones, right? The neutral, the grayish, little bit of gray, but everything is what do they call it? Millennial gray. Look at our walls,
yeah,
even at our office, are the millennial gray.
not the blue, violet gray that they got, and white and black everywhere.
we gotta bring back avocado. We gotta bring that back. Get some avocado toilets back up in here.
Some of the old yellow tubs. So I was going to bring up, I had a conversation recently. This is on multifamily, and this might help some of you if you do sell flooring to multifamily. And we could all say, what do they mostly put in? Well, they put in 6 millimeter, 6 mil 2 millimeter, like, and they just want the cheapest of the cheap. Well, that is starting to change as well. We've done quite a few multifamilies now with some with 5 millimeter, 20 mil wear layers, like in a multifamily. Um, so
It's because
Tacos.
nobody wants to move all the time now. Like they,
Well, it's all dollars and cents. So they show, when these pro formas that these guys have to provide when they go to sell. So a lot of the people who build a multifamily, they're looking to sell that thing in 3 to 5 years to some conglomerate. The goal now is like, how many tenants can I get through this floor before I replace it? It's one of the most expensive things you're going to replace, right? Repainting is cheap, and then flooring. So carpet is the cheapest, but you got to replace it after every tenant. LVP will last you longer, depending on the quality, but it'll get you maybe a couple of tenants. Well, these guys are starting to realize that, hey, this property, their capital expense to rent ratio is way lower than other properties, which means I'm going to make more profit as the conglomerate that buys this property and runs it. And so that is ringing true. So you guys out there that are in the commercial or the multifamily world, you can upsell into a nicer product. And what we just tell them is you can get multiple tenants depending on, you can always have that scrub that really just, doesn't care and scratches the tar out of the floor. But for the most part, you put a decent LVT or a good LVT in, LVP, LVT, with a good wear layer. And if you went with a thicker, 5 mil, you're going to have some sound deadening there. And then on top of that, you can get 5, 6, 8 tenants out of the same floor. Less disruption, quicker turnaround, less downtime, lower capital outlay to rent ratio. And so that is one piece of this conversation where I can tell you from experience is starting. I wouldn't say starting, but rings true. It's just starting to gain way more momentum because for so long, all we ever did in a multifamily, I'd love your guys' input on this, but all we ever did was literally six, maybe 12 millimeter or 12 mil wear layer with a 2 millimeter or maybe 2.5. Now we're doing 20 mil wear layer, 2.5 on the main floor, 5 millimeter, 20 mil on the upper floors for a little bit of additional sound deadening.
Sound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's there's a lot of them going that way. The last three we've done have been 5 millimeter, and it's not the same owner. It's the concept of when they're building it. They're not, because a guy will build a multifamily and he'll plan to sell it in 3 to 5 years, right? After he's shown on a pro forma that, hey, this property is good cash flowing business. But they're going to replace the floor 2 or 3 times. And it's not just the cost of the floor. I wanted to harken back to what I said. It's also less downtime. That unit can be painted and cleaned in a day and back on the
yep.
market on high desire highly desirable multifamily units. So that, if you're down a week or two less, and you have that quick turnaround, plus you have a floor that you don't have to pay to replace, it's just a clean and go. Yeah, that's ringing very true. So you
Yeah,
can upsell to a nicer product on these multifamilies.
I think when we were doing multifamilies before, it was like a lot of sheet vinyl and not a good sheet vinyl, just a cheap, inexpensive sheet vinyl. Just
Loose lay, fiber floor kind of style, or fiber.
yeah,
I shouldn't have said fiber floor. That's indicating manufacturer. I'm
Yeah,
sorry about that.
perimeter loose lay,
No,
something like that.
yeah.
One drop.
and then the inexpensive carpet everywhere else, and then the stuff that's been coming across the desk lately. You're right. They're not putting carpet in any of the bedrooms either. They're
Done.
like
Nope.
LVT everywhere.
Yep. That is, we're on this. That's on
Yep.
the same thing. It's
And
like
the only
everywhere. It's like,
LVT or the only carpet that they're putting is in the common areas, right? And it's usually a carpet tile.
mhm.
I got a question for you, Paul. Do you
Down the
see a lot of light?
hallways in
Yep.
particular, if it's an enclosed facility, down the
Yeah, that
hallways
that
for
way
quietness.
the sound.
Hmm.
Do you see a lot of lightweight concrete on multi-level buildings when it comes to multifamily, or is it all concrete? Like we see a lot of gypcrete here. If it's not like a big commercial type build where they're in a hurry.
Well, the answer is yes. A lot of it is either gypcrete or just a wood subfloor.
Oh,
A 3/4 inch tongue groove wood. Although I was on the phone with a client
really?
this week, and they were asking for some solutions on a multifamily project down in Houston that they're using half-inch non-tongue and groove floor, and my client was stepping on a seam, and he's doing this, and it's just like, and he's like, how do I make sure that this LVT or LVP they're putting in is going to last? How are they going to patch?
The
I mean, you could literally see right through the crack in the floor. He's like, how are they going to patch this? And how's it? I was like, so there's this big conference call, and
wow.
we all chatted it up. And I'm not actually doing the job; I'm just advising on it. Um, and the flooring guy down there says, "Yeah, that's how a lot of them are built here." And I was like, you don't tongue and groove and you're only using half-inch, that doesn't even meet the ASTM for LVP.
Dude, what
Like
happens if someone upstairs has
it's
a
supposed to
dog
be it's supposed
peeing
to
in the
be three
corner?
quarter inch tongue and groove as the minimum. Like how are they getting away with it? That's just how they're built down here. So at the end of the day, my best recommendation was to fully glue a 5-ply underlayment, fully glue, screw the seams, and staple the field because you got to patch seams anyway. Make sure you leave your expansion gap between your underlayment, and fully glue that with a wood glue, with a urethane
Yeah,
wood adhesive, small notch, um, you know, and glue and screw that thing, as we like to say, and it'll
man.
probably tighten it up. But man, can you imagine? But um, yeah, that got off course a little bit, but it was just amazed me how sometimes, I mean, what I said about them wanting to put a nicer floor is they still had a 12 mil going in, so it wasn't even the bottom. The substrate was the bottom of the barrel, and then they're putting a couple levels above bottom of the barrel in as the product. So
Well, that goes to say that a properly installed floor brings more value than a poorly installed floor.
yeah,
Holy.
yeah. So exactly what we were talking about earlier is you can upsell these, and like, why do you want to upsell? Well, you're probably going to make a little more profit, but dealing with nicer product is just easier to deal with. The nicer products are easier to install. So you can upsell them based on the fact that they're going to get more tenant um, turnaround on that same floor than they would before. But it always goes back to proper installation. You can take a nicer product that's not properly installed, and it's not going to add the value at all. You know what I mean? Because they're going to
Yep.
lose their cap table. Because this is data, nobody's feeling about it. It's like, how much money do I spend on this facility from a maintenance and get ready standpoint versus how much rent am I collecting? And there's a ratio there always. You got faucets and plumbing fixtures and all this stuff, and flooring and paint and everything you got to do to make a unit feel brand new again when somebody goes to move in. The lower that ratio is, the better, the more profit the operator makes off of his facility. Every dollar he puts in flooring is a dollar he doesn't put in his pocket. And so that upfront thing really pays back, and it does have to obviously be properly installed. I think too long in the um, multifamily market has it been cheap product, cheap labor.
And we used to call
Yeah.
that apartment carpet.
Yeah,
That's that apartment carpet, the one
Yeah,
you can
you
pick up
you
and see
hold it up
through
to
it.
the sun and you can see through it.
that you can rip with a knee kicker.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see much of that anymore. That was the all the we used to do apartment replacement back in the day. I
15
don't get
ounce
into that
poly.
market because it's way too cheap. But we used to be in that market, and it was all carpet, and they just accepted that, like and that is just a race to the bottom. It's like we have to have the cheapest. Like I think one customer, we were furnishing material and labor for $9 a yard. Now this was back in the early 2000s, but like their thought was it's going to have to be replaced as soon as this tenant moves out. LVP has changed that game a little bit, and I like the way it's going right now. I hope it continues because I think it's better work for installers, and on top of that, it's providing a little extra value for a lot of extra value for the property owner, and of course, we make a little bit better of a buck.
Doyle says that cheap LVT and cheap labor is still king today, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you as far as it being king. I just see a uprising a bit of sorts, like big time. To go back to your question, Jose, about like the substrates, we've also seen, um, at least in our area, we didn't uh, for a long time have that like commerce on the first floor. So say a restaurants and little boutique shops and a maybe a community bank and then apartments above it or condos above it. But we're starting to see more of that now, like what do they call it? Like planned community living kind of thing, where even like a little corner grocery stores there, you see that a lot.
I think that that's one of those things too that's been around here for a long time, so it's really common to me
Oh, really?
to see. Yeah, super common. So I'm not. I like that setup. A lot of people that I grew up with lived above their family's store or someone's store or a vacuum shop. Like the downstairs was a vacuum shop and an electronics shop next door with
Yeah.
3 stories of apartments added on. That's normal for me.
Well, back on as we're talking about like adding value to property, that's the one really like experience I have with is in multifamily. I think most of our commercial work is very architect and design driven. So, they want something that's just going to last a long time. They don't want to have to tear down all their cubicles and replace their carpet in 5 years. So it's more like long term thinking for the most part. Don't get me wrong, that's not always the case, but for the most part. So I don't have good examples in the commercial world other than the multifamily thing, and I have good experience with it.
Well,
But homeowners and that type of um, deal, I would say one more point is I was also told if you're going to spend money, spend it on your kitchens and your bathrooms. Tearing out a prefab shower, fiberglass shower unit and putting in a full tiled shower in a nice, median type of home is a great move for getting high value out of your house. And so just a quick note there on the tile side of the world.
yeah, that's actually good advice. I mean, you're not going to want to go, buy a single wide or double wide trailer and do that to your trailer. That's really not going to
No,
add much more value.
and you
But
don't want your $1 million house having a bathroom that could be mistaken for a trailer.
right.
No offense to
Um,
trailer living in a trailer home. I did for a lot of my life, so but it's just the economics.
oh, I did too. I saved a lot of money doing that. Spent a lot of money too because you never wanted to be there.
So Doyle says, question:
Yeah.
what do you see that school systems are using in your area now? I would say there's two things. A lot of them have moved to the LVT, and they started doing that years back. They're starting to realize that, like, okay, the problem is it is going to get scratched. because it's a school. Where VCT could be stripped and waxed, even though they had an annual, they save a lot on what they call life cycle cost. So, over the course of 10 years, your VCT is much more expensive than your LVT, even for a decent LVT,
because of
because
the labor you got to put into it. Yeah,
every year they're stripping and waxing,
and repairs and
75,000 square foot. And the product is soft, as we all know, and so it'll crack and those kinds of things. But so LVT and quartz tile is starting to like grab on. It's
is it?
as expensive or more than LVT, but it's got a wear layer, so you don't have to strip and wax it. But once you have to, like you don't have like VCT, you had to wax like right away. They recommended as soon as it was installed, 48 hours later, strip the factory seal off of it, seal it, and apply 3 to 5 coats of wax. Right, cross-linked acrylic wax. You guys probably remember
Yep.
all that. You,
Hmm.
I don't know if Michigan still has big VCT projects in their schools, but that
Not
was
a
the
lot.
recommendation. So you got a 75 cents to a dollar on top of the cost of your VCT. It seems like it's cheap, and it is for your building, but then your maintenance piece
The
of it,
maintenance costs, yeah.
Yep.
right, always
Well,
built up.
and then the training that's required for the maintenance if they're not used to it, because that's where a lot of it goes wrong, and that's where all the costs add up. But over here, we have a mix. People are doing glue direct LVT. Um, what's lasted the longest is going to be terrazzo or hard tile. Like,
And it's
I have,
it's kind of almost switching back to that too, to
mm,
the resinous terrazzo now.
oh, really?
Yeah.
oh yeah, dude.
We've done a lot more tile. We did a huge uh, high school, and I mean, other than the classrooms, almost some of the hallways, but all the commons areas, like big open spaces. This school particularly was kind of built more like a college. It had we put tile everywhere, 24 by 24 tile everywhere. I think it was 50,000 feet of 2 by 2
Ooh,
porcelain. And so you're right, like a permanent product. Terrazzo, that's a great point, dude. Commercially, but it's so expensive.
Yeah.
Uh, I think there's some other options out there that look like terrazzo. That's where quartz tile came in. They started coming out with them looks. Do you guys remember Fritz tile?
oh,
Yep.
dude. Matter of fact, we're right down the street from the armory with that I installed 20 something years ago with that. And microbiology labs, we did some government projects. Yeah, I do
Go
like the way it looked. I didn't like to install it because I had to learn as we went, but I like it.
Yeah.
going back to your comment, Jorge says you can install Wilton in a trailer double wide, but it's got to be a
Yeah.
double wide. Can't be a single wide. So, and then he does make a good. Doyle says right here, what about polished concrete? And we do see an uptick in polished concrete everywhere. There's
In
our
retail, like it
Yep.
rules in retail. I haven't seen as much of it around here in schools. I think it's like, you know, a it's just too industrial, I think, for the educators have this idea of the space filling like a
The feng
learning
shui
a
and learning
learning
and
space,
excitement. Yeah.
so I haven't seen much polished concrete in the education space, but man, it runs retail. All those big jobs I used to install back in the day, I can't count how many Kroger stores, Dillons is what they're called around here, but Kroger stores and uh, Walmarts and Targets that I've done over the years in VCT that are all now polished concrete.
With the permanent VCT stain, the grid stained into the concrete.
Yeah, or they'll
and barn
do
dominiums.
Oh,
yeah,
barn dominium. So my buddy does those, and they do a lot of stained concrete, polished concrete, and they're even doing the cutting the patterns and designs in
Grout
there.
it.
Yep, and doing all of that. Like, um,
I
yeah,
I
they do
am
some
not a
nice work.
fan. Not a fan. Around here, there's some barnuminium stuff go up, but we're in tornado country here. And if you ain't got a
Shit.
basement, you and you're in a metal building, like that's not a good mix for a place that gets, 100 tornadoes a year.
Yeah.
And so we don't have as big a barnuminium thing, but the those are almost always seem to be polished concrete as well. I'm not a fan of polished concrete in a home. I just think that, if I want to feel like I'm in a Walmart, I'll go to Walmart or Target. I mean,
They're
like they just feel cold to me. You put all the area rugs you want.
institutionalized
Yeah,
Yeah.
that.
because
Yeah,
I see a lot of the architects even over here are like, oh, we're going to do this bathroom in this place and we're going to use a tile that looks like polished concrete, or we're going to use a tile that looks like terrazzo, or I mean, it's smart, right? Because some of these places, it's on gypcrete or it's on wood, and it's like, all right, I understand that. But when you can just polish the concrete, why are you going to use something that looks like polished concrete?
yeah, and Trazzo. At least, I mean, you go to Vegas or any place that there's most of the buildings Trazzo, like you can do, the design is unlimited and it can be absolutely stunning looking. Polished concrete, like what you can stain it some colors and
Stamp
polish
it, stain it.
like
I don't know.
like and if you stamp it, you are now taking a structural piece of your property and permanently changing what it is. Like the only way to like then go put something in over a like a stamped and polished concrete floor in a home or something, or in your barnuminium, Jorge, is self-leveling that sucker. If you want to put something in over that and it's stamped and like sealed, now you're like shot blasting and self-leveling to put anything else. You lose all like
You,
um any movement, like, and
you
it's
just
an
made me think of
expensive
something too.
thing to go then put in. Say you want to change it out for an engineered hardwood. You don't, that's not an easy task, right? Even
Just buy more
polished
glue.
concrete, now you got to scarify it, or you got to open up the pores so that your adhesive will stick. Like you just, I think, limit yourself on that. Um, I'm very biased. I don't like polished concrete.
I
I
can
don't
tell.
mind
I
it
can
in
tell.
retail places, but in a home or a school or someplace that's meant to feel warm and inviting, I think it does the opposite.
But when it looks good, it does look good.
Yeah, it's pretty stunning when it's pretty.
So now I know, like, if I ever have polished concrete somewhere in my home, and you come to my house, I know that you're just gonna be sitting there like, oh yeah, this looks good, and in the back of your head, you're gonna be like, I can't wait to go home. I can't
I'll
wait to
be
leave.
I'll be like, I know what I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna get him an area rug.
Doyle says
Uh,
unless you're floating it, but even then, that stamp is so out of tolerance now.
Yeah,
Well, it's inconsistent.
if it's a real stamp, I mean you can float over regular polish, but if you are stamping it, I mean you got to do something. Now, not to say that plenty of people don't and then end up with a failure, but you're supposed to do something.
So I got a
That's
question.
fun.
Do you think that these new resinous flooring, this epoxy flooring with all the like designs that are underneath it, where they're going a little bit thicker, are adding value, or would that be more of a custom? You know, because they're adding a theme pretty much, and you can't really change that without changing the entire thing. And the same thing goes with like the penny floors that I've been seeing that everyone's doing, too, which is pretty cool. It's been like that for a while, but I wonder if those actually add value or if that is just looked at as a custom piece where it's a new floor, you can clean it easy, but
Well, it's one of those things where you move into there and then you cover it up and then someone else discovers it 50 years later and they're like, "This is the coolest thing I've ever seen."
Yeah. But I mean, my opinion on it is even with tile or a hardwood, if you go super exotic with it, you're running the risk of people not liking it, right? And you can have a marble floor throughout your entire home and it have a hard time selling because nobody likes green marble or pink marble or a very small subset of people do. Um, but if you go white or beige or grayish and you put that in, people can design around it, area rugs and stuff to make it pop. And so I think that any of those products that you put in, um, you got to be mindful that you can still mess it up from a design perspective, even if it is a permanent product that will add value to your house. If it's one of those things that's like, yikes, I'm taking that out as soon as I buy, or I'd have to replace this. I can't live with this hunter green, white veined marble everywhere, even though it's brand new, looks gorgeous or what have you. So I think you still got to be mindful of that. The epoxy floors, I think they belong in your garage, maybe in your man cave or your basement storage,
Patio.
We
or
I have seen an uptick in people talking about doing it in their basement. Like, I don't want to put anything else down here. And the good thing is that you're putting epoxy anyways, right? You might as well spend a couple more dollars to make sure you're covered under moisture, and then you don't have to worry about it.
yeah, do the moisture thing if you're putting epoxy in your basement. I'll tell you that. I've seen quite a few. Oh, it probably originated on TikTok, but I'm not on TikTok. I see most of that stuff on like Instagram.
Instagram.
But they're peeling up sheets
Oh
of
yeah.
epoxy, like two guys pulling an entire room up of epoxy because it was in a basement, maybe was prepped properly or not prepped properly. I'll tell you, if
Hydrostatic
you're one
pressure.
of those type of products, if you watch this, I'm speaking to our audience. If you're watching and you're gonna do an epoxy, you better vet that guy. He better have a high quality, like you better be able to prove that he knows what he's doing because if it goes bad, you won't know right away. And when it goes bad, the whole floor is done, you know, and he's on to his next deal. And that there's so many of these little epoxy companies doing garages and basements and bathrooms and stuff. And it's it got its start like the metallic floors in the man caves, right? Guys buying a barn or tossing a metal building up to get away from life for a minute and watch a football game, and they put the metallic epoxy in. Awesome. It looks great there. I just don't personally think that it's got to be sparingly used for my taste in a home. But hey, I'm just one guy. I mean, there's plenty of people that love that stuff, and it's
We just had the coatings lady in
amazing.
here today too.
It's amazing what they can do. Have you seen some of that stuff they do on walls that make it look
Yeah,
like a marble, a piece of
Yeah.
marble that is
yeah.
fascinating.
How
I've
they
not,
you just see them run over it 1 million times, and then at the end it looks just like a marble slab or something.
yeah, dude. And they're artists, man. They're doing the
Right.
veining and all that stuff, and then they polish that out and add something and polish it out, and you know, however long it takes to polish.
None of it originated over here. I could tell you all that artwork came from
It,
overseas.
yeah, it's freaking cool stuff. Yeah,
Well,
so
I
I
guess
don't.
getting back to the topic. So, like, from what I've been told, what we're talking about here is the permanent surfaces are the ones that are adding the value. But we understand that there's the eye of the beholder. Like, what is the purpose of this commercial building? What is the purpose of this home? What is the intention? Are we replace? Are we having tenant turnaround, or are we looking for long term? So that I
Yeah.
guess
Design, I mean, like you said, it's if it's a permanent product, it's probably going to add value, but you still have to consider design. Um, and then, like, there's just a plethora of opinions in the retail world. The example I used on the multifamily, it's just data. Like, you know, how much money do I spend and how much rent do I collect? And that number, I hope they keep like evaluating properties that way because I like doing those big 60, 70, 100,000 foot 5 millimeter jobs.
they get easier and easier, huh?
That's right. And they do see the value. So I mean that's a great part of it. I would say, do you guys ever see floating floors in apartments?
Uh,
Yeah, I passed on the last one that had them.
I
I don't
just
even want to bid it.
I don't either. I just don't. It's just a not just a risk, but it's like they're gonna. We've done float. We quit doing floating floors altogether in commercial. We do. There's no such thing as a floating floor to us.
yeah.
If you call it to be floated, we're gonna send you a recommendation to fully glue it. Even if you stick with that same product, we want you to use the full glue method. We've had too many failures over the last decade or so. Uh, last 3 years probably we just don't free float. I'll even pay for the adhesive and the extra labor it costs to fully glue it to just not have the problem later. I mean, it's a problem, dude. They're gonna call you. This sounds hollow. Well, no shit.
Well, part of the problem
No,
is too is
no,
that
really, it sounds hollow. It's just sitting on top of a substrate. Yeah, it does sound hollow.
part of
So,
the issue too is that these manufacturer reps or sales reps are still telling people that it's okay to do it in certain spaces depending on the amount of traffic, and it's not. And there's some pretty big names that out there, both on the manufacturer and the client side, that are still doing it, even though the failure rate is really
well,
high.
and maintenance comes into it too. I've told this story before on the huddle, but we had a client that we did a big cafeteria for him in LVP, and it was floating. Well, manufacturer will be left off here, but at the end of the day, it was a maintenance deal that it started cupping everywhere. And I was like, man, I tested this for moisture. Plus, how is this? And it looked horrific. By the time they called me, edges were breaking off, stuff was separating. It had become a problem. It was a corporate facility, their dining area, the big corporation.
Mm-mm-mm.
Well, I go watch them. I go eat there one day. I asked if I could eat there. I'll watch him clean up afterwards. And the guy is coming out. I mean, the water is so hot in
Just
his bucket that you see the steam rolling off of it. And I watch him start mopping the floor.
they
And
just
then I
slopping it.
asked him, I was like, hey man, where how hot's that water? He goes, boiling. I was like, how do you get it boiling? He's like, I take it directly out of a boiler that we have set for or a spigot that they have set for super hot water. So they're taking boiling water essentially and taking a thermoplastic, free floating thermoplastic product through these temperature cycles like that, tossing 212-degree water on it. And you do that, a few times, that product starts reacting. It's a
Hey,
thermoplastic product. And it failed because of that. We ended
when
up
they're
going and
peeling the skin
replacing
off
it
the
and did the floor.
tomatoes, it works to clean the tomatoes. Why wouldn't it work to clean the floor?
Yeah, exactly. Well, it cleaned the floor. That's why they kept doing it. It's funny. Boiling water will clean a lot of stuff, but the problem is that it completely ruined the floor. So the free floating stuff in general, I don't even know if a full glue down product would have lasted under that condition. But just point being is, free floating floors are just too susceptible, and we've had too many failures, and we just are like, all right, you don't want to glue it down? We're gonna glue it down for you. Ooh, I was popping and locking, dude.
He's like,
Don't do that again, Paul.
Okay,
hey, I bet you Paul
never.
could break dance too.
I used to
Bring
have
some
a mat
cardboard,
back in the day, baby.
bring some cardboard and a beanie for you to wear, bro. I want to see you spin.
Little shoulder roll. All right, guys. Well, that's we have come to the end of our podcast here, talking about bringing value to your property, whether it's residential, commercial property, and knowing what floors and kind of the ins and outs of doing that, and how to get the most value out of it. Picking the right flooring for a couple dollars more that might just increase your home value. So that's what this episode was about. We appreciate everybody for commenting. we Show me your Skittles.
You're not ready for
Uh,
that, Rainbow.
uh, very much appreciate all the comments, and give us a like, subscribe on our social channels, and continue to support us. Do not forget to support our sponsors. Today's sponsor, Divergent Adhesives. again, if you need an adhesive when you're up against the wall with, different site conditions and different stuff, like hook up with the Divergent over there at Divergent Adhesives. Quick shout out to NAFCT and Shag Tools. And that ends our podcast for the day. Always thanks to Daniel and Jose for their expertise and bringing so much to the table.
Insight, not
Yeah.
expertise, just
Oh,
insight.
you guys have the expertise, and that's why you can bring the insight. So we'll see. Yep, we'll see you guys at Tice, and that's in the end of January in Las Vegas. So we'll see you guys
Just
there.
over a month away.
Uh, Anybody who is not going, you should consider it because Tice is pretty awesome, and you can come hang out with us. I'll buy you a drink. Come tell me I
Oh,
said that and what episode number this is, and I'll buy you a drink. All right, guys. We'll see you next week.
hey,
Thanks,
do you
everyone.